Yo, welcome back, man, to another Star Steady episode of the Big Mouth Media Podcast with your boy King Jacob, aka Jacob Tunes. We're in the building about to chop it up about all forms of entertainment when it comes to the music business that is. None other than special guest, Next Bond, man, Real Life Music LLC, and none other than the Next Level DJ Coalition. What's up, bro?
Man, living life, blessed and highly favored. How are you doing?
Doing good, bro. So, for those who don't know, uh, who is Next Bond?
NoxBond. NoxBond.
Knox
Um,
Bond. My bad, brother.
I'm a I'm a music executive and a rapper. As an independent rapper, I feel like I've been able to kind of crack the codes in the music industry. I have about 4.5 million streams altogether. I got a plaque on the way for them. And then as a music executive, I've been able to build a system to be able to kind of help develop artists because it's a something that was just missing. It was just blatantly missing. So I own Next Level DJ Coalition, which is the number one DJ coalition on Google, and then I own about 110 record labels.
Wow. Whew. So, when did you find out that you wanted to be in the industry? Like, how did it come about?
Well, like the original way that it came about is it didn't have anything to do with music. I was like maybe I don't know 8 or 9 years old, and I was going through some issues, so my family put me in a rehabilitation center for like people who were having like anger issues and things like that. And
Hmm.
I started writing poetry, and then I got into a situation there where we had a riot and shit just really got crazy. So I went back home, and then I took the poetry that I had been writing, and I just kind of like started putting it to beats and like writing remixes to songs that were already out and just like writing my own version, and it kind of went from there.
Oh, okay. So, started at a very young age, and from that young age, man, how did it develop and how did it grow? As you got older.
Well, I think that the first thing is that it had to be taken more seriously if I wanted to do anything with it. So it went from just rapping to being in the studio, and then going to nicer studios, and then having your music mastered, and going through the process of learning uh, the creatives and the proper way to put together an album release and a single release. And then just literally, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have anybody who was giving me pointers. I didn't have anybody who I was signed to, or anybody who was like, hey, this is what you do. I just had to figure it out, right? So it was like, if I want something done, then I have to do it, and I have to figure out a way to do it. And it's really difficult sometimes. Like one of the big hurdles was Spotify. My Spotify account set just motionless for a long period of time because it wasn't something that I personally wanted to do or prioritized. And then when I turned my attention to Spotify, I was like, wait a minute, my Spotify numbers need to be up, because even though this might not be important to me, it's important to other people. And so when I realized that, then I got 1 million streams on Spotify in 41 days, because it was just something that I wanted to focus on. And so it was like I went from creating music to delivering music to hiring people. And so I'm hiring people all throughout the music industry. I'm paying all these people hundreds of thousands of dollars, just paying this person and paying this person and paying this person, hiring different publicists and different promoters and different DJs, and paying for mixtapes, and paying for online radio stations, and everything in this music industry costs money. So I did everything that you're supposed to do, and nothing worked. Um, got a 1 million plays on WorldStar, But at the end of the day, that doesn't do anything like to actually move the ball forward or to make any type of like real progress. And it kind of turns out that that's the case as I'm moving. So I'm maneuvering through the industry and I'm doing major plays. Like I didn't want to have like a regular music video, so I went to Las Vegas and flew to Las Vegas and shot a music video with the director that shot for Maybach Music, that shot for like Rick Ross and shot for Diddy, and had him shoot 2 music videos. I took 2 trips to Vegas, like 2 months apart. And so as I'm doing all that, it's just because I want my product to stand out that much. But then we dropped it and it just fell flat on his face. It just fell. And I learned the next part of the music industry, which is that music doesn't sell itself and nothing self-generates streams. So even if you go out and you spend $10,000 on a music video, if you don't have a budget or a plan for marketing and promotion, then inevitably, it's only going to get as many streams as you direct message to people and ask them, you know what I mean? You're going to have a few hundred or a few thousand streams, depending how hard you hustle and stuff, but it's really not a promotional strategy. So,
okay, so with the Spotify, man, it sat there for a minute, and then you gain some traction, right? And so with gaining that traction, let's talk about algorithm, right? And a lot of artists don't understand the algorithm of Spotify. Can you really kind of go in detail and tell how you discover how the algorithm works as far as Spotify?
Yeah, I mean, it's really based on reverse engineering. So I kind of have a front row. Like a lot of people don't understand, but I'm a real music executive and I have a front row to who the labels break. And so like I've known about Megan Thee Stallion for 8 years, and I don't know too many people who can say that, but I've been watching Meg Thee Stallion like the whole time, and I've been, because I'm very, very, very familiar with her team. And the first time Hef brought her out, I was aware. I was paying. Another artist is like Tory Lanez. Like I watched him. So those are just 2 examples, but I'm really into reverse engineering, into finding out analytically how things operate. And the algorithm is really simple. It's the same on all platforms, and it's really simple. If you have a post, this is the basics, and it scales up. All right. If you have a post or new material, new content, you put it out on a platform. It shows it to 10 people, 10 of your friends. All right. And then depending on what those 10 people do is what's going to dictate how the algorithm treats whatever it is, if it's a poster, if it's a song. So if 10 people like, comment, and share and save the post, which is, all of the action that you can do, they max it out. So if 10 people like, comment, share, and save the post, then it's going to show it to each one of them that saved it. It's going to show it to 10 of their friends who are not your followers. And then if 10 of them do the same thing, it's going to show it to 10 of their friends. And it's going to keep going indefinitely until people stop hitting like, commenting, sharing, and saving. And it doesn't stop when you make a new post. It actually overlaps. So if you make one post and you trigger the algorithm to where you get it to spawn, and then people start liking, commenting, and sharing, you can just kind of let it roll, and it'll roll, and it'll slowly build because you triggered the algorithm, so people will keep liking and commenting and sharing. And then you can drop another video and do the exact same thing on YouTube, for instance, and trigger the algorithm. And as long as it continues to show it to people and they continue to engage with it, it'll continue to show it to new people. But the minute that it shows it to 10 people, and out of those 10 people, none of them like, comment, save, or respond, then it's dead in the water. That's why. So if you have haters on your friends list and you make a post or you drop something, they can actually impact your algorithm. So if you have a bunch of people who don't like you and you drop something and they scroll past it and they don't like, comment, share it, nothing like that, it kills that post on the spot. Nobody else can see it.
Mm, okay. Okay. Interesting, man. Interesting. Is like because I feel like a lot of people don't know how it works, and so I feel like that's why a lot of artists get frustrated. You know. But I just thought that that with the Spotify, with the iTunes, and with the YouTube and stuff like that, people should really know how it works. And so, I'm glad you pointed that out. So, let's talk about, man, the very first time you went into a recording studio. How was that experience for you, and what type of mindset were you in mentally and emotionally when you recorded the first record?
So the first record that I professionally recorded was in the year 1999, and it was a record called Your Loss, and it featured a singer named Heather. I don't remember her name, and it was at the Lab Studios here in Wichita, Kansas, and I lived out in the country in Cassidy on this lake, and really wasn't any access to a lot. So I made my first mixtape with a karaoke machine, and I got it out to the kids that were at the lake. One of them got it to his mom. His mom got it to this guy named Clayton Roswell, who was the owner of the lab. And Clayton Roswell reached out to me and invited me to come out to his studio and record. When I got there, they had really recognized my talent, showed me nothing but love and appreciation. They didn't charge me anything for studio time. They brought in a producer who custom made a beat, and they had a singer who was right there. And I wrote the song, and the singer sang it, and I did my part. And then we ended up, and it ended up becoming a partnership where he saw the potential in me, and so he asked me how I could help him develop his magazine. So we started a magazine together called the Hot Sheets Magazine, and that was where I got started with advertising, going door to door, business to business, trying to get people to buy graphic arts and to buy advertisement for a magazine that we were creating called the Hot Sheets Magazine. So all of that, and then it went from there where they were having battles here in Wichita, and he walked me into the battles, and I would go up on stage and just battle everybody and just smash everybody, and everybody would be like flipping out and going crazy and shit. And that was at a club right there on 21st and Hillside. So we did all of that, and it was all really organic, and it was fun, and the feeling that I had was just immediately like, this feels right, this is fun, this is exciting, this is what I want to do. People can see what I'm bringing to the table, and they're reacting. They're going, oh wow, he just said this, he just, you know what I mean? And like, so yeah, it was a great film.
Okay. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And so, as time went on, you learned a lot about the music business as far as how the corporate structure works inside the music business. Because a lot of artists need to get out their head, man. This is not a hobby. This thing is a lot of corporate structure. And if you run it with a corporate mindset, you'll do well in it. And so, with that mindset, with you learning how to record it, learning about the production, the mixing, and the mastering, and now you're on the business side, man. So let's talk about real life music and next level. So first, we'll chime into real life music and how it was started and why you created it.
So real life music was just, it was real simple. It was to have a place to be able to release music for my brothers who really weren't very business savvy or computer oriented. As I was making music and I was creating music, one of the natural inclinations that I had was to get a studio to where I could I got that. Let me back up. I did a conference call with DJ Premier and Nipsey Hussle and T Grizzly, and me and Nipsey Hussle were having a conversation. It was through Nerd DJs, and me and Nipsey Hussle. Matter of fact, Premier didn't even show up that night. But me and Nipsey Hussle were having a conversation, and I asked him, like, on behalf of artists, what is one thing that you can do as an artist? Hold on one second. Sorry, I had a call come in. One thing that you could do as an artist to be able to kind of stand out, and he told me to get a home studio. He said the one thing that you need to do above all is to get a home studio to where you can do things in-house. The more, and the way that he broke it down, he was like, the more that you can do in-house, then the more it's going to help your company. And so when he told me that, it was like, it just kind of clicked. And it was like, not only did I get a home studio, but I started taking it more seriously and taking it like a company, like a business. And so that was the first thing that I started doing, is I started recording in-house. And then as I was going, because I've been doing this for over 20 years now. So as I continued in the music industry, I learned things the hard way. Unfortunately, I learned things because I'd record a remix to a song, and then I'd go and perform it at a venue, and somebody would tell me, hey, listen, everything's dope, but the only thing is that's not an original song. So then I went and I did an original song. So, I just kept learning from experience. Like, everything with the business was the same thing. It was like, I went to collect money. I heard about Sound Exchange. So I went and I took all the time to find out all the correct information and fill out all the proper paperwork and register and join the Sound Exchange board and all this, only to find out I couldn't collect any money for anything that I had ever done my entire career. And it was a shock to me. It was like water in my face. It was like cold water in my face. Like, I can't collect any money from anything that I've ever done. What? And Sound Exchange notified me that you have to own a copyright to be able to collect money. And so that's where I learned the importance of a copyright. So if I didn't know the importance of a copyright, then I wouldn't have never went to the US Copyright Office and started doing copyrights, and I wouldn't have never learned about a transfer of ownership. I wouldn't have learned that you can't just get a beat and lease it and then copyright that song and run with it. Like, there's an actual business behind it. It's intellectual property, and intellectual property is one of the most brutal fucking playgrounds in America. They don't play with intellectual property at all. If you steal somebody's shit, they will take all your money and give it to the person that you stole it from. It's just how it works. And they always take the side of the creator. So that's when I learned the importance of a copyright. And then it was like, we were basically, I got a business partner, Trill Will. And when I got my business partner, it became to where I had somebody that I could discuss things with, and he started kind of planting some seeds, and the seeds that he planted took hold subconsciously. And we started working together to kind of create an empire. Like, we were talking like, okay, well, what can we do about beats, man? Because we can't copyright any of these. We don't own any of these songs, period. If we download another YouTube beat knowing that we can't own these songs, then we're goofy and we're playing. We're playing games at this point in time.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, bro. Listen, as far as the YouTube beats, you have the leasing agreement, then you have the other leasing agreement, and you have, if you want to purchase the beat outright. So with any of those producers, did you guys try to get in contact with them, or they wouldn't sell exclusive rights to y'all?
So unfortunately, exclusive rights isn't enough. You have to have a transfer of ownership contract for the beat, which means they have to sign over their publishing. And that's because what people don't understand is that the copyright is the ownership, but the music industry has kind of convoluted it, and they've split it into two different things, which is your masters and your publishing. But in reality, there's only one ownership, and the ownership is the United States copyright. To be able to own the copyright, you have to own every part. You have to own the beat, the lyrics, the samples, all of it. You have to be able to be able to say, I own all of this, and then here's the paperwork for the transfer of ownership where they gave me ownership of this. That's the only way to get a copyright. Anything else, anything less, you're playing. You're not really in the music industry. The Sound Exchange released information at the end of the quarter of 2021. They said that at the end of the quarter, over 100,000 songs were released, and only 4,400 of them were correctly registered and paid anybody any money. The rest of them were all just, playing. I mean, you'll get money from Spotify, but you won't get mechanical royalties. Spotify doesn't pay your mechanical royalties. Mechanical royalties are 12.5 cents per stream. And in order to get your mechanical royalties, you have to have a copyright, and you get that from Sound Exchange
Right,
or
right,
an
right, right, right,
LLC.
right, 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 right. And so, you got Sound Exchange. You got BMI. You got ASCAP, CSAC. Um, you got SoundScan. I tell people the most easiest way that I've seen artists charting, along with having all the copyrights, like you said, but the most easiest way that I've seen a lot of artists, and I've got a lot of artists through Digi Radio Tracker, because they do have campaigns on Digi Radio Tracker as well. And what I tell people, man, when you rocking with an internet station, ask them if they are BDS registered. Ask them, is their radio station registered? Because a lot of internet radio stations, well, more so they doing it now, but when they first started, they didn't really understand the registration
Hold
where
on, I
their
just lost
station.
your sound. Hold on, I'll be right back, bro. I just lost your sound. It does it anytime I have a call. Give me 1 second, bro.
Okay. Well, what we're talking about is we are talking about the copyrights, the mechanical royalties. We're talking about having your music properly registered, so you can receive that money. So with the music industry, and when you buy exclusive rights from an artist, the artist has to transfer that ownership of that production to you. So you therefore own the copyrights and the publishing of the music. And so with that being said, you can you can also learn that learn that business sense, and therefore you don't have to, cause it's a lot of mentors and a lot of people who made mistakes, like you can pay them a consulting fee to teach you the game so you don't make those mistakes. But back to you, bro. So that intellectual property that you was talking about, their ownership, that transferable ownership that you was talking about, why doesn't people know about that? Or have they not had the correct mentors, or do they not take the time to research, or they just really don't understand the paperwork behind the music business?
All right, bro. I'm gonna tell you, just because you King Jacob, I'm gonna give you the exclusive, bro. The mentors don't know. Nobody knows, man. The shit that I know, I would say maybe 1% of the music industry know it. I know for fact that 300 ENT with Sparta Distribution doesn't own any of the copyrights and doesn't ask for any clearance letters from their artists or their features. So I mean, like, it,
Oh, but hold back up, bro. Back up, back up, back up, back up. Technical file on the play. Stop the press, man. As Martin Lawrence say, stop the press. Come on, man. Like, how are you a established label? How do you have a EIN number and you don't own any of this? That really makes no sense. That's hustling backwards.
nah, bro. Like, you want to talk about a technical foul, bro? Like, you don't even understand, bro. Out of 100,000 songs that were released last quarter, only 4,400 of them were correctly registered, and those were damn near 100% Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal Music Group. I mean, it's like, shit. I'll give you a better example, bro. I have personally been in the industry of looking for, developing, and signing artists for about 3 years now. None of them know what they're doing. Um, None of them do things correctly or do their paperwork correctly or know all of the places to register your music. And I completely and totally understand because nobody ever taught me. And I've never seen anybody who teaches the information. And I've hired consultants and I've hired a lot of different people. And nobody will just sit you down and say, listen, Junior, if you don't own your copyright, you can't collect money from Sound Exchange. Nobody makes it that quick. You know what I mean? Like it's not that easy to understand because, and I'm gonna give you another bombshell, bro. It's because there's two industries. All right. There's one industry in which people break celebrity artists for record labels on behalf of record labels, and they all work in unison to be able to break an artist because there's been a big bag of money exchange. And then those same people, they just don't want to work. They don't want to have a job and they don't want to pay bills by having a 9 to 5. They want to work for themselves. And so their other business, their other hustle is basically finessing artists and showing that, hey, look, these major labels use me to work with these major artists, so you should hire me, knowing damn well that they can't do anything for the artist because there's really not anybody out here individually who can do anything for the artist. It takes the label hiring everybody at the same time. And if you don't have somebody that's hiring everybody at the same time and you're just out here, basically a la carte using these same plugs that the labels use, but one at a time, you're not going to have any motion. You're going to have really, 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 really slow motion.
Wow. Okay. So, speaking of registration and registering your music, so I would like for you to drop some gems, drop some jewels for the correct way to do that. This is Music Business 101. What is the correct way for an artist to register music where it needs to be registered so they can make money off their music and eventually they can work the music business full time?
All right, well, we gotta again, man. It's hard to work with these artists because they have a certain sense of entitlement, and they have a certain sense of, I mean, like they want to keep everything. Like there's a mine. They want 100% of everything, even though it's zero. And it's like, first thing is you have to come into a mentality of your music is not your music. Unless you out here doing spoken word and poetry, then your lyrics are only half of the situation here. And there is a producer who is creating that song with you and is also entitled to the same ownership as you to that song. And then if you're going to work with a label, then they're going to provide a machine and logistics to be able to help. And so that's going to require, ownership of the record because somebody has to be able to do the copyright. One person has to own it. You can't have a split copyright. I can't split a copyright with you and we be like both of our companies or both of our individual selves own it. It can only be owned by one person or one company. So it's almost, I'm not going to say impossible, but an artist has to get out of the mentality of me. The first thing that we did, that me and my business partner Trill Will did, is we created a separate company called Next Level Media, and we started signing producers. So that with every producer we signed, the split sheets was already done and all the paperwork was already done. So now all the producer has to do is deliver the records and the track outs, and all the paperwork's done. We can show the transfer of ownership form, and then we can get the stuff actually copywritten. So step one is you got to own the beat, and you can only own the beat with the transfer of ownership. No license, no exclusive, no lease. You have to have an actual like transfer of ownership agreement that gives away the producer's ownership rights and publishing. And once you have that, then you can split the money. You can split the publishing with the producer. You can create a publishing company and give them half of the publishing, but the initial, like the copyright is above the publishing. If somebody owns the copyright, they can cancel out the whole publishing. They own that shit. They own the song.
Mm. It's sort of like the whole Khalees and Pharrell thing now, where she was mad at Beyonce for sampling her song, but she didn't own the copyright. Like the song was written and copywritten and is owned by the Neptunes. And so Pharrell didn't feel like he had to ask her
And
if
he
they can
didn't.
sample the song
And
because
that
she don't own
and that tells you, since he didn't ask her permission, that tells you that he has a contract with Kalani. Because if me and you go into a studio and we create a song together and there is no paperwork, then we both have the same rights to that song. We can both release it whenever we want, put it wherever we want. We ain't got to ask permission for nothing. We both own that song, so to speak. Okay. The problem comes when you don't have paperwork, because it can get messy. We both have the same rights technically, but what record labels do is they have a contract that states that the artist is an artist for hire. And again, so there's no way that you can learn this shit. There's nobody to teach it to you. The consultants don't teach it to you. The quarterbacks don't teach it to you. Nobody teaches it to you. I'm gonna tell you how I did it. I learned it because I love reverse engineering shit. So I went and looked up who owns records. Like I went and looked up Kanye's records and who owns them, and Jay-Z's records and who owns them. And it was to my shock and dismay to find out that nobody owns records. Companies own records. Def Jam owns records. Rockefeller doesn't own it. Jay-Z doesn't own it. No portion owns it, but Def Jam. And so when you go, it's like that everywhere.
So
So
hold up, back up, bro. So, all right, somebody told me they was like, read up on Russell Simmons, look at some of his kind of his videos and just study him and Rick Rubin. I said, why? They was like, as far as the music industry, probably nobody owns more intellectual property than Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin. Like, if you go back even from when they first put out Run DMC, man, they own so much intellectual property and so many copyrights to like Russell don't even have to worry about music no more, man. Ever again.
no, they're all billionaires, bro. The people that the artist. It's cool to be an artist. You can easily become a multimillionaire, but the people that I want to be like, they're all, well, there really isn't nobody doing what I'm doing per se, but the people that you could compare me to, they're all multi-billionaires. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
it's a different level, and that's always been my goal. Is like I want to own the intellectual property. We could split the bag. I'll make you a millionaire. I'll make you a multimillionaire. But at the end of the day, the catalog belongs to me.
Word. So, do you think artists give up too much sometimes? Would you
No,
with you being an artist and now being an executive, do you think they give up a lot sometimes that they shouldn't?
no, God, no. I have like a polar opposite view than the majority of people. I think that these artists have no integrity, and I think that they're crybabies. I think that if they wouldn't have got signed, then they'd still be out there either washing dishes or selling crack on the corner. And now they're in a position where not only them, but them, their babies, their babies, babies, their babies, 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 babies are all going to be set for life and never have to work again a day in their life. And they can open doors for whoever they want to open doors for. And then it becomes very generational. Most people in the music industry are fourth or fifth generation. So when you go back and you look at people, the music industry is new. It started in the 1920s with Thomas Edison and Edison Records. So if you go back and you look at people, like the first celebrities started in the 50s and the 60s, and with like Columbia Records. And if you look at the people who are celebrities back then, and you look at their families' fortunes of $50 million plus for every single one of them, then you're like, okay, cool. So these people who are complaining and saying that they didn't get their just dues, and they're multimillionaires, but because the machine made more money, because the machine kept the intellectual property, then they feel entitled to more, and they want to change the agreements that they agreed to. I look at that as a person of low morals and low integrity. I mean, just blatantly, I look at that as somebody who isn't keeping their word. And they knew when the money was in their face, they were sure as hell glad to sign it. And I don't think that's taking advantage of somebody. I think that's offering them something. And if they sign that deal, then that's their price.
That's an interesting theory, man. I was telling artists, like they was like, so what about Curtis Jackson? What about 50 Cent? How did he pay off Jimmy Iovine? How did he pay off Dr. Drake? And how did he pay off Eminem? I,
Well, when you say how did he pay off, I mean, you got to understand, like, these agreements, these are lifetime agreements. Like, Russell just did an interview where he was on the stand at court, and a judge was asking him the details of the record deal, and Russell said that him and Young Thug have a lifetime deal. And so you got to understand, like, these agreements that you're talking about, they don't really ever go their separate ways. Like 50 Cent specifically, 50 Cent signed to Eminem, who is signed to Dr. Dre, who signed to Jimmy Iovine. So
right.
and each one of those people have an imprint. So it's you see what I'm saying? It's Shady, Interscope, Aftermath, and then that's
G-Unit.
all owned by Universal Music Group. So
Right.
so it's like the agreement that they signed, 50 Cent came and blew the fuck up, right? Like just blew up, just out of
Right.
nowhere. Like, that's what people don't understand, is like, artists get bigger and bigger and bigger for their initial, like, growth. Their initial, like, when Eminem first came out, blew the fuck up, went crazy. And then when 50 Cent came out, it blew up even more. And then, you know what I'm saying? And so it just kind of grows like that. But see, 50 Cent, he knew my first rule of business, even though it wasn't even my first rule of business yet, but which is find a way outside of the music industry to make money. And so he did a deal with Vitamin Water, where he got involved and become a spokesperson and an endorser for Vitamin Water, and then
Right.
used his image to run up the brand of it and sold it to Coca-Cola for fucking what, $50 million or some shit.
Yeah, some shit like that.
Brilliant. You know what I mean?
It's like
more than he'll make off of 10 million record sales.
right. It's just like how LL became the spokesperson for FUBU. I heard Damien talk about how having LL the spokesperson made him 300-400 million dollars. You know what I mean?
The
And,
endorsement deal.
and yeah, man. And he said, man, that for him to be signed with Def Jam and have FUBU to sponsor a LL Cool J tour, it just was like someday shit he didn't even think his clothing line would be known like that until LL Cool J was wearing it FUBU everywhere. You know what I mean? And so what I think about
artists get signed with an endorsement deal from FUBU. P Gutter just got an endorsement deal from FUBU.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, shout out FUBU. It ain't it's not what it looks like. The music industry is not what it looks like. And
it's all manipulation, man. Like it ain't like I tell people all the time, man. A lot of that jewelry and them houses you see and them cars you see, that shit is rented, man. That ain't real, man.
I mean, even if it's rented, that doesn't really explain. See, because you could say it's rented, and that's one thing, but it's not just rented. they're struggling to keep up that image.
Right.
It's not just that the car is rented, you know what I'm saying? It's that the car is rented and it makes it to where when they have that car and that jewelry and they don't have no money. They don't have like disposable income. They can't spend their money. Like their money is not their money. Money's like really fucking tight because they got to spend it on maintaining this image.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
So man, I tell people now, I'm a big fan of artist development. I've developed artists. And I feel like once the majors took artist development out the way, that's when the 360 deals came. And I just feel like the 360 deals don't help nobody but the labels. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like it's plenty of ways an artist can make money through this music independently, but it also takes money to make money. So
But
you
there's really not though, bro. Let me put you on the game because nobody really breaks it down for these artists and explains it how it needs to be explained. For one, a 360-degree contract is only right. The label is doing all of the work. What the artist needs to understand, and it's really, again, it takes a different level of swallowing your pride. The artist is fucking relevant. Like I would say that the music is like maybe 5%, but the more that I learn and the more that I figure out, like the less that percentage becomes. Like, but I would say maybe 5%. You can have the best music in the world. If you have shitty energy and a bad attitude, I will flat out decline you. I will flat out not work with you and not talk to you and not answer your calls. And I don't care what your music sounds like. I try to explain to people, it's this simple. All right. I went on Tinder and I found a female on Tinder that I liked. And then I helped her write a song and taught her how to sing it and sent her to a studio and then got the song back and edited it and mixed it and then put it out to my DJs and created an artist and had 800 DJs all over the country listening to her music and then sending me responses. That so if I can pick up a girl off of Tinder, teach her what to do, write the song, bring her into the studio, executive produce it, create her as an artist, promote it, market it, how important is the girl?
She's important, but she's not as important as the creator.
Boy, she interchangeable. She is
Um,
absolute, outright, unimportant, interchangeable, and has damn near zero value. The record label damn near doesn't need the artist. They can get somebody. Look at LMFAO. They can take their own motherfucking children and give them record deals and put them on for life.
Right.
Red is Berry Gordy's kid. That's a fact.
Right.
That is his son. So I guarantee you, before anybody else got signed, he signed his own son. So I want you to think about that. Not you, but the artists that are listening, that feel entitled, that feel like they deserve a deal because of their one-in-a-kind talent. If you're trying to get a record deal from Berry Gordy and it's you versus his son, guess who's going to win?
Right. But listen, man, I don't feel like it's one of a kind artist. I feel like each artist got their own stigma of how they create, man. But man, if we talking about US artists, but if we talking about artists globally, like I can go over to Europe right now, bro, and I can find 10 artists of my choice and start a record label, and I can write a business plan and a marketing strategy and bring them to an angel investor or a hedge fund group to back this label, and it'll blow. And so when we're talking
So,
about investments, bro, like what artists don't know, man, it's always angel investors, it's
nope.
private investors, it's
Hell
hedge
no,
fund
because you're gonna
groups.
lose the ownership. You want to talk about losing ownership. If you ever take on an investor and you can't pay your bills, they take ownership of your company immediately. And
See, but
so,
but you can't if you a person that know it's gonna work without a reasonable shadow of a doubt, and you have a quote unquote a great marketing strategy, man. Like especially if you're a salesman, and you know I've always been a salesman, and so I can get an audience. That ain't a problem.
okay, my question. So what I ask people, right? What can you do without money?
Yeah, hey, man, you at a standstill.
Most people are. Most people are at a standstill. Yes, I
Yeah.
am not at a standstill. My entire organization operates without money exchanging hands.
Okay. Okay.
So that therein lies the problem, right? You at a standstill. If you ain't got no money and you trying to make moves in the music industry, you are absolutely right. You're at a standstill.
But in this music industry, a lot of times, man, the relationships are more important than money.
To an extent, but I have a lot of relationships and they really don't do me any good. And I wouldn't use them to do me any good because that would be abusing my relationships. You see, people don't really think like you see what I'm saying? It's not
Right.
quite that simple. Listen, if I personally know the VP of A&R, which I do, his name's Aton Benhorn of Atlantic Records, right? And I personally known him since 2008. I can call that dude and I can chop it up with him and kick it and talk about whatever, and we gonna have a friendly conversation. But if I ask him to do something for me, it changes the conversation, it changes the relationship, and it changes everything about the relationship. And you can only do it once. And people don't know because they don't have big homies that are billionaires that are like really doing major things. But these relationships, when you have relationships with people that are like Bruce Roberts, the head advisor for Warner Brother Records, they're sensitive and you can ruin the relationship by mixing business with it. People don't understand that. So I would say, and
Are they
again, I have a
sensitive?
different viewpoint.
Are they sensitive? Are they selfish? Or did you just build the relations based on a solid friendship?
Well, regardless of how you built the relationship, when you ask them to do something that's outside of what they would normally do, then you're being a bad friend. If I ask you for a discount on your services, then I'm being a bad friend. As your friend,
Right,
I should
right,
want to
right,
pay you the full price for your services and then more. If I'm
right.
asking you for a record deal that I don't deserve, that you would not give me if I wasn't your friend, then I'm being a bad friend. And that may just be because I have ties to certain organizations where, we feel like everybody's equal. So since everybody's equal, it's not cool to kind of like pull a card and be like, hey man, will you do this for me and utilize your services that you would normally utilize? um you know what I mean? It's just kind of.
Right. I got you. So I think what artists need to learn, like, cause I told the artist, I was like, man, yeah, your music hot, and you might be doing numbers, but if you think a Warner or a Capitol or a Epic or a Def Jam or a Quality Control or whoever is going to give you a deal, 500,000 and up, something like that, and if you think that you're going to keep all your masters, you really need to go see a psychiatrist because that's not going to happen.
Well, for one, it's not their fault. All right. For one, it's not the artist's fault. There is a very strong agenda in play to push the artist to own their music, to to be able to push the image that the artist has to be seeing the masters where they're being screwed. That agenda is in place by United Masters. And
Yeah.
it is I mean, it's there, but people like Jay-Z says, hey, you own 100% of nothing.
100% of nothing. Hey man, I just think they need to pay attention, man, and I think that these artists need to be coached, man. Like, I mean, would they really take time to listen and understand?
Do
Because
you
most
know?
artists,
Listen, bro. Imagine if every single one of these fucking goofy ass goof troop artists was famous and had money and had influence.
that's true, that's true.
Shit,
But
they don't all need to be famous.
imagine if you only had 2% that would sit down and really have an intellectual listening ear, how much farther they would be.
Well, you got to look at people like P Gutter, right? So
Hmm.
P Gutter, he's my shining example. That's my brother, man.
Hmm.
P Gutter was signed. He went through the rigmarole. He was signed to Def Jam for 3 years. He was signed to Slip and Slide for 3 years, and both of the labels, they just really ended up just dropping him. Like they didn't really know what to do or how to develop him or anything like that. And so when I got with P Gutter and I basically taught him everything that I know, not me personally, but through my process, through my onboarding process and through the things that I deliver to the artist, um, that was kind of the missing link that he had been missing. And so he took that and he ran with it and he started, I guess numbers are important to everybody. So he got 60,000 followers on Instagram. He got 1 million streams on Spotify. He got a plaque on the way, just all that type of shit. But what I try to explain it to people, and I don't think that they can really wrap their heads around it or understand the complexities of it. Like, okay, if I can create a system to be able to develop an artist and be able
Hmm.
to develop that artist's fan base and do numbers and all of the things that are important to people,
Hmm.
then there's really no guesswork in it anymore. But the music business isn't a business anymore. It used to be, but now it's kind of it's different, right? Because I mean, you got to think, bro. How are you making money? You're saying that an artist independently can make money. So, but okay, so let's set a bar and say for a nice life you need about $100,000 a year at
Hmm.
least. And so for an artist to make $100,000 a year, the only way that they can do it is if it gets out of the artistry lane. If they're staying in the artistry lane, they can't do it. And so here's what I mean. So how does an artist make money? The first answer is always merchandising. Okay, well, if you're trying to make money as an artist merchandising, then my advice to you is to open up a clothing company, because you'll have so much more options on what to sell people, and you'll be able to sell things that are not just merchandising, but you can create logos or anything, and you can make money selling clothes if that's what you want to do. Go ahead and open you up a clothing company. P Gutter he did the same thing, started selling clothes, and then I was like, go ahead and start selling designer. He started selling designer. Now he's making a ton of money with this clothing company. But that ain't got nothing to do with you being an artist. You're a clothing company designer. Congratulations. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's merchandising. Um, if you want to make money off of streams, then you have to understand that 1 million streams pays $4,800. If you own 100%, then you're going to get $4,800. So with the $4,800 that you get, that's for 1 million streams. So it's going to take quite a bit of time to generate, at least 6 months to generate, 1 million streams, and then also pay you for it and everything like that. So
Hmm.
if you do that twice in a year, you made $10,000. That's not a lot of money. So if you get 2 million streams in a year, you making 10 grand. So really, it ain't no money in streams, and people don't sell CDs anymore, and they don't sell. Like Drake sold 6,000 downloads the day his shit came out. So I know artists ain't selling shit if Drake got 6,000 sales, right? So streams and record sales and shit like that, like for real, as an artist that's not developed, you ain't
Right.
making money off of streams and record sales.
Well,
So
then, so what's this myth of telling an indie artist to stay independent, don't sign your life away, or don't give up your masters? What's the myth in that then? Like, why would you
it's not a
steer?
myth, it's a business strategy, bro. You gotta understand, if I'm fucking Universal Music Group and it's back in the day and I want 20% of No Limits catalog, I gotta pay them $38 million to get 20% of their catalog and distribute their music. Okay, well now, fast forward, bro. No Limit hops on United Masters and gives away 20% of their fucking catalog, and they ain't got to get paid one red dime. So the record label and the people who own companies like Amuse and United Masters and Spin Up, like think about it, bro. Spin Up is owned by Universal Music Group because they understand that I don't have to give these artists in advance anymore. All I got to do is just give them this distribution, which they don't want to pay TuneCore $19.99 for. And these artists' price is not $2 million, bro. It's $19.99. If we distribute this music for them, they'll give us that 20%. And that's all the fuck we ever wanted anyway.
Right. I understand, man. But I just hear artists like, bro, like somebody asks an artist, what type of campaign you running? Because they were screaming about they gonna stay independent, they ain't signing life away till label. They was like, what type of campaign are you running? And they was like, well, I really don't have a campaign running right now. So why are you screaming that you don't want to give up something to go to the next level? You got to give up something to get to the next level, bro.
No, nah, bro. You gotta understand there's an agenda. There's a real agenda. When there's an agenda, then they create symbols, they create subconscious imagery, they plant seeds. That there's really an agenda to push artists to own their masters and go to United Masters, to where United Masters can get 20% of all of the music, or companies like them can get 20% of all the money that comes in, so that everybody will just basically sign a record deal without having to get an advance. And
I
that's what we're
understand that. I do understand that, but I also understand because when I was living up north in the DMV, man, and I also lived in Delaware, bro. I used to manage cover bands, right? And all the indie artists that I managed, the cover bands have made way more money than these indie artists, bro.
and the cover bands don't make shit. See, I think that the bar is so low, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you. So the only other option to make money as an artist is to get booked. And to be able to get booked or to sell features, you have to be famous. And so that's what you're really in the industry of. See, these honky tonk bands, they can pull up, say, hey, y'all need a performer, and they can perform and get $300-400 and they're good with it. And so they can do that every night. But to me, I guess to me it's just they have a low standard, right? Because man, living on the road costs about $5,000-6,000 a month in my
Nah,
experience.
bro, cause I do know cover bands they get $5,000-6,000 per show, and they're doing like 6-7 shows a month.
There's always exceptions, my guy.
Yeah. They have some Sam Cooke review bands, some Motown review bands. You know what I mean? They get that type of bread, bro. You know what I mean?
That's a different industry though. We're
Yeah,
not
you're right.
in that. We're not in the industry of cover bands. We're in the industry where if you do a cover of a song, then they take it offline because you're not allowed to steal it.
Right. You're right. But I'm just saying, man. It's got to be more creative ways where
Well, no, you
artists.
gotta think it's the same thing, bro. With the cover band, what do all of the cover bands have in common? They motherfucking interchangeable and have no value. They're not the creators of the music. They're interchangeable.
Right,
Any
right.
cover band can come in and perform fucking Alanis Morissette and the Doors and or whoever else. They're interchangeable.
Right,
What
right. You're right.
the
You're right. I'm,
artist
I'm,
is
I'm not saying you're
trying to
wrong,
do
but what I'm
is be
saying,
brilliant.
I know, like with this whole, see, a lot of people that are in the hip hop business just only study hip hop. I'm not one of those people. Like anything from country, the jazz, the blues, the bluegrass, et cetera, et cetera. Like, cause music is so universal, and I think a lot of people that are hip hop artists put themselves in a box.
Again, I think that the majority of artists are not meant to go anywhere, and I think that they prevent themselves from going anywhere. But I don't think that they should, because if every artist was trying to be successful, became successful, then a lot of people would have power they shouldn't have power, because really they're shitty people. And so it's so much deeper than music, because
It is.
once you crack that code, you're good forever. And not only are you good, but again, you have influence. That's why there's so many gatekeepers, and there's so many
Yeah.
people who
Mm.
make sure that the artists don't get into the industry. I've heard from somebody, I'm not going to say who it was, but I have been told directly that, I'm not going to say which label it was either. I was going to, but that a major label told them to tax the artists that are not signing for everything that they can tax them for, so that they cannot afford to compete with the major label.
And that's true, bro, because you see it every day. You see it every day. Like, that's very true. And so, with that being said, man, I can dig it, man. But I do, because we about out of time, man. I do want to do a part two with you, bro. And I'll I'll be tapping in with you and seeing when you're available again. But I definitely want to be a talk because um it's it's definitely got to be more of the jewels drop. You feel me?
Let's get with Melanie. You know what I mean? Shout out Melanie. She's my
No doubt.
executive director, so she'll be able to.
Okay, okay. I will definitely get with her, and we'll definitely do a part two. I want to, man. Thank you for chiming in, man. CEO, Real Life Music LLC, CEO Next Level DJs, man, my fam. I'm a part of the Next Level DJ Coalition, and I appreciate you, man. And I definitely be in touch, my brother.
Yeah, much love, bro. You know, real life or no life, next level till the dirt settle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, man.
All right, blessing.